give you an idea of how I got to know you guys. I was down in Sebastian, Florida. Y'all went in Florida, up north there. And when I was in Sebastian, I went to a Publix. They were making some trinkets and whatnot. So I went in there and I went outside and I saw it. I was interested, talked to the man. I said, wow, this thing really seemed like they were at the right place. So I got the card there, and the Lord kind of led me all the way around. Here I am. Now, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to let you know not so much about my past, but I want you to know enough to know that I was where you are right there. I've been in rehab. I was down in Kissimmee. I went for one in Kissimmee. The residential 4 down there. The only difference in that one and what y'all are in, I was in a fear-based one with AA. You guys are in faith-based. You're very fortunate. You know, I'm telling you, that's a blessing. So that's where I was at. But what I'm going to do is get you this journey of things that God's shown me to get from where you're sitting to where I am here. I'm a future you. To where I'm not just sitting there anymore. I'm giving to you. And it's a journey. And so that journey started with me saying, which a lot of y'all might have said, you know, Lord, whatever it takes, you know, I'm getting. We're down and we're there. Now then it began. Me and Tony was in Atlanta at the time, and I was in Orlando, Florida. I ran a big financial company. He did in there. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2008 when the crash happened. I mean, I was on top of it. You know, man, I had it going. When that crash happened, I had said, Lord, whatever it takes, because what happened when I was rising to the top. Now, like a lot of us, and a lot of you, I had the background, the church background, but I got away from it. Like the prodigal son, I'm out there. I mean, I'm up there on top of Wall Street, with the bond markets, with the mortgages. I'm there. When that crashed overnight, now I'll back up a little bit. When I was laying there one day, because it got me. Too much of this party, too much of this. And I laid down, I was going places going, why am I? What am I? I said, Lord, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Bam! Out of the crash. I'm like, whoa. So you're going from making a lot of money to zero. I'm talking about zero money. But your habits, they haven't changed. They're still there.
Yeah.
So here you are. You've gone out to zero money. And now all of a sudden I find myself violating a felony probation. I'm in Lake County Jail. Now my money always got me out of it. So it's no big deal. I thought, well, okay, my money always got me out of it. Here I am. Now the crash has happened. There is no money. And this wise judge says, no bond. What? I'm getting out of this. There's no bond. So I'm in Lake County. This time I'm in there for 40 days in Lake County. And that's when I ended up in the rehab, because they had offered me this plea deal at the time and said, well, you've got to spend it in this rehab and all. But the lawyer says, well, don't. Just sit there for a while longer and they'll lighten you up. Don't worry about it. But, you know, when you start this journey, God, it's like a situation of where God's blessing you because you're being sincere about what you're doing, but you're still going through these things that you used to do. You still have these habits, these bad habits, and all these things going on. So I remembered in the Bible where Joseph, you know, he was sent to jail because of what he did was right. He just ran from the guy's wife. But I'm in jail for what I did. I deserved it. But Joseph he had favor in that jail. He was interpreting dreams. He was doing this. And all of a sudden, they send me to the work pod because I wanted to work to get some of them. And she goes, well, we have an issue with the diet. When it's a big jail, when they're doing this kitchen, I was talking to John earlier about it. He does the kitchen, and you know, no one in the jail could do the diet. They had to do it right, so they had to hire someone from the outside. I was good with numbers. I said, that doesn't look hard. I can do it. So they watched me for a while. And I did it, man. I ran it. They called me the diet master. She goes, man, I don't know what we do without you. I'm like, no, do anything. I don't want to be here. So I ended up taking this plea. God knew what he was doing. I didn't want to go to rehab. But I took this plea, and I said, that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going this journey. So here we are. Now the journey begins. I go through the rehab. I get through that. And now here I go. And I'm saying, Lord, you know, you got to help me, because you don't have anything. We know. I get through that. I saved my brother for a little bit. When the crash happened, he got into construction. He owned a drywall company. Now he's getting down. He can't have to go. Right, I can't have you. You got to go. So I'm on the streets. You know, now you're on the streets, and now you're like, what are we going to do now? What's going to be next? You know, where am I going to go now? Well, we've done it. You know, one thing I've learned is the worst story in here. Whoever got the worst story in here, there's somebody out there who's got a worse story. You know what I'm saying? So you just keep moving on. So I want to jump you to where God started dealing with me. He started showing me little things. Little things. Do you put your cart back when you stop, when you do groceries? When you pick up something on the other side of the store and you go up there and you don't want it, you don't need it. Oh, I don't need that. Do you lay it there or do you take it back? Or you just go, oh, I'm creating somebody a job. No, you're not. You're lazy. Yeah, he's teaching me this. No, you're not, Ron. He's teaching me the small things, the little bitty things. You know, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, let me do that. Let me start, you know, having a heart to pay people back. See, you know, I didn't. I owed people and didn't think twice about it. You know, and then finally you start to show me how hard to pay them back. Well, how am I going to pay them back? I have no money. Now I've got to work at 50 years old. Back then I was 50, 62. Now I was 50. I'm having to stock and hang drywall again. You know, these guys at the end of me stocking and hanging drywall are going, hey, Ronnie, you going to shoot pool? No. I'm going to lay it in a tub going, Lord, whatever I did wrong, forgive me. I mean, that's a tough job at 50. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm sitting there and I'm hanging this drywall, you know, and you don't have much money, but I owe people. Well, what am I going to do? Am I just going to keep on going that way? No. So I prayed about it. I see a camper going by me while I'm driving. I got an old car. I got through all that. You know, I had to have the whole thing. Went through the whole course system. Finally, 2 years later, I finally get a car, small car, and I see a camper go by. And I'm like, well, you know what? I know an old guy. He drives a truck. Contacted him, and he said, I'll tell you what. If you watch my dog, get these beagle dogs. If you'll watch these dogs for me, you just put the camper out here, extension cord, you can stay out here. I lived in a camper 4 years, pay people back. How I got the camper was a miracle too, because I didn't have any money. I actually saw one, and I went there and I told him, I said, I don't have any money, but I am working. But this is the right camper. She asked me what I was going to do with it. I said, I got to pay people back. I have a place to stay. She goes, take it. Pay us when you can. So I put it out there for these 4 years. Now, here it really starts. Now, you know, you're out there, you get depressed easily. You're supposed to camp for a week, maybe 2, right? But I'm out there. And I'm going through this, relapses. All this music we hear. Tony, we wrote the music. We wrote music. Tony wrote songs, and I did. He wrote the music to it. It really came from a lot of the desperation, the relapse of things of this journey that you're about to go on with me tonight. All right. One of the first things the Lord dealt with me was guilt and condemnation. Every time I would mess up, again, this guilt and condemnation would come on. It would just eat me up, you know. And the Lord showed me, you know what, Ronnie, you've asked forgiveness, and you need to move on. Your guilt and condemnation, you're trying to make up for it. I've already paid the price. You're trying to make it up for yourself. Guilt and condemnation is just, it's tearing you down. And you know, I am convinced that the power of sin is guilt and condemnation. Now, self-examination, he was teaching me, is totally different. If you want to self-examine yourself, go to the Lord, and he can help you. You know, he can work with that. But through that whole guilt and condemnation that you continue to go in, then, you know, you're just going to keep on spiraling into that same mess that you're in. So that was one of the first things that he dealt with me was the guilt and condemnation, you know, and that was really something big, and that's still, you know, a battle, because you know what? It's faith, that you know that he's done it, you know, and the power of sin is guilt and condemnation. That just seems to be the truth of that. You know, it's amazing how we can believe the lies of the devil, but we won't believe the 7,000 promises of God in that word. But we'll believe his lies when they come to our head and go, you know what, you're wrong. Something's wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're something wrong. We can't be beating ourselves up. You can't. You have to believe that and know that he's already paid that price. You know? Yeah. Get up. Believe that word. Know it. Lord, I messed up. He knows what you do. He knows. He knew you before you were born. He got it. Next one, man. This one. Humility. Humble. You know, meekness is not weakness. Meekness is strength under control. Okay? You know, and Jesus, he could have done something about not going to the cross, but he didn't. He humbled himself because he wanted God's will more than that. He did. He wanted it more than that. You go a step further than that, and you look and you say, well, you know, Jesus didn't feel like being crucified. He didn't feel like it. He asked, can you take this from me? But he still did. He went past those feelings because he wanted God's will more. Yeah, I was thinking about this on humbling. Now, this happened to me. So I go back to this, my whole thing of, you know, the big financial guy. Yeah, I remember in the Bible, you know, some examples that are there. And one of those examples was there was a king, Nebuchadnezzar. And he had given God all the praise and glory and said, look, I have all this kingdom for what God did. And sure enough, he lived in peace. And the later on in years, he goes, look at what I've built. Look at what I did. What happened to this man, he went out and lost everything he had. And I thought about that one, that this man lost everything he has because he said, look at what I did. Look, and you think about it, how did Satan fall? How Lucifer? He was over the worship. How did he? I will raise my throne above it. Well, my uncle is a big attorney in Atlanta at the time. Tony's dad, actually. And I called him Matlock. I don't know if some of you older guys want to go to that show Matlock. I mean, I think around something like that. He looked just like you. So I called him Matlock. Matlock, what's up? So he had some wisdom. He goes, Ronnie, what's going to happen with you if you're, people can't just refinance their houses and do this, would that really hurt your money? I said, Uncle Bobby, all cocky. I said, let me tell you something. The whole market would have to crash before I didn't make any money. And what happened? What happened? Next thing you know, I'm walking the street. The next thing I know, I'm getting sauces out of Taco Bell to put them on bread because my food stamps are gone. Because I had to use some of those food stamps and bargain for something else. You know what I'm talking about? We know. That's the time that you go, okay, that's real. And now it's time for me to really step it up. So this guilt condemnation kept going, so I'm in this camper and I'm fighting this and I'm still, God's working with me. And finally I just said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I had a bad night. Now, see if you guys, I'll put one on every chair. This is our CD, but see, pick up this. Look at this jail right here on top of the front cover. That jail? This is how this jail happened. It's a true story. I was hungover, feeling horrible. And I said, I am not going to spend my day in guilt condemnation. I'm not going to do it. And I said, Lord, you said this, your word's true. Forgive me. Please. That jail, I said, please help me. And I said, I'd written a song called I'll Escape. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I bet you that song would be great. Paul at midnight. At the midnight hour. Sometimes you got to wait till the midnight hour. Paul and them were thrown in jail. Paul and Silas. They were out there just doing God's work. They were thrown in this jail. And they were singing at midnight. They were beaten and thrown in this jail. Now I thought, well, this song Escape would be great. And so I was walking down there in Wilson County where I was at with this camper. I'm out there with cows, horses, and dogs in a camper. And it had rocks. This whole Wilson County, Tennessee has rocks everywhere. So I said, Lord, I want to do something positive. I saw these rocks laying down. I said, I want to build a jail here. A jail to do a video of Paul. Now I'm hungover. You look at that picture. That jail was not built on a 30-day sober chip. That jail was built after a 30-pack of a bag of chips. Do you understand? You understand? Because I didn't get up that next day after I repented of my sins and said, Lord, you forgive me and help me. Because I knew he was helping me. Little by little, he was changing me. And I said, I don't live like that. Every rock on that jail, every stone that you see was created for the foundation of the earth to be on that CD to go across this world. That's a fact. Every one. And that came after that day. I'm learning his word. He's teaching me. He's teaching me little by little that you're going to hear this journey that we just started. Now, Tony, I'm going to have him come up here on that song, Escape. Tony, you ready, buddy? And this came from the relapses. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you guys, you're in a controlled environment. When you're out of here, you may mess up. You probably will. But I want you to build your faith right back up. Know the God you serve. Know that you're in him and he's in you. Know who you are in Christ. Amen. And when I post, I'm going to post these things too. So you guys our website's on here. And there's a card that I'll get you later on with. And I want you to be able to always come back here to this. And you'll remember, because the one I'm going to post, the Lord chose a Project Hope. You're going to even remember all the good things that Jeff and all they did for you too. You guys have a double good. So you'll be able to understand these things and remember all these things. That way, it can go from your head and become a revelation to you. Not head knowledge, a revelation to you to where you cannot give up and you can keep going from that. Go ahead.